Ongoing registration, the Electoral Commission says it has been able to put over 183,000 persons onto the country's electoral roll. The process, which started on Tuesday last week, was fraught with challenges which the opposition NDC largely asserted to as orchestrated, aimed at disenfranchising first-time voters, particularly in its stronghold. Accusations which have been parried by the Electoral Commission. Chairperson of the Commission, Jean Mensah, says any such claims cannot be true.
The allegations being made against us, including accusations of our working to disenfranchise eligible voters, to sending faulty kits to the stronghold of a specific political party, are false. A number of districts reported having faulty kits on the first 2 days. These kits were not located only in the stronghold of a political party, of a particular political party, and the evidence is there for all to verify.
On arguments by the former President John Mahama that perhaps the guarantor system is still quite the best way in registering persons onto the electoral roll, the Electoral Commission cited instances or media reports of minors being registered onto the electoral roll and used that as basis to suggest that if you can go to a district office with 2 guarantors just to get onto the electoral roll, you can go to the district office to get a Ghana card.
As a commission, we don't think so. We are mindful of the fact that the National Identification Authority had some budgetary constraints and they were not able to, register. They have not been able to register for a while. But we are also mindful and we are also well aware that over the last 2 weeks, they've kick-started their activities in the districts and they are registering persons who have turned, I think, 15 years above in the districts. So I do not believe, and so the cards are available.
On the injunction application, the EC said it was not served.
As we speak, the commission did not become privy to that documentation or that service, that writ until Wednesday, because on Monday the commission was on the field, and on Tuesday we were on the field, and it was only Wednesday after the exercise that we became privy to that service. We've known for a long time that we had registration. Why wait till a day before the exercise to serve on a Friday when there's a lot of field activity going on?
She adds the Commission will undertake a continuous registration process to register more persons next year.
In the lead up to the 2024 presidential and parliamentary elections, we will roll out a continuous registration of voters for several months in the district offices. Additionally, we will undertake a mop-up exercise in selected electoral areas, particularly in areas that have difficulty in accessing our district offices.
The Commission is, however, warning guarantors against endorsing minors. Eric Mawina Egbeta, TV3 News, headquarters of the Electoral Commission.
That straight away will lead us to Musa Dankwa with Global Info Analytics. We're going first with him because they've been looking at the figures, what the perception is. And Musa Dankwa, since you've been looking at the numbers, pre-voting, the young people, voter age, etc., how do you sync what the Electoral Commission chair and her other deputies are saying in relation to what is going on with what the perception is about this Electoral Commission, the work they're doing in relation to the registration?
Right. Thank you very much for having me, Roland. I think if EC had really worked with data, they wouldn't be where they are today. Because clearly from what we have seen from the data, about 13% or so of people who are eligible to vote in 2024 are first-time voters, which means that if you take 70 million that we have and you strike the 13% or so of that, you're looking at close to 2 million voters potentially to be registered in 2023 now. Next year, that number will go up. Now, if you look at how the EC had gone about with its registration, I would have thought that they would do the electoral areas first to get as many people as they can on the system. And then next year, they then go on to the district levels registration. That would have been the logical way of doing it. But be that as may, if you look at what they have done, it appears they were not informed by the size of the potential voters in these areas to be registered. Because if you put MRW equipment in one constituency that has 120,000 people as voters, and the same number in another constituency that has 30,000 people, definitely you are disenfranchising those in the large constituencies. If you look at what we are seeing now, you could see that per the number she announced, Greater Accra is behind in the number of first-time voters that needs to be registered because it contributes the largest portion of voters in the country. Currently, the number she's put out there, Greater Accra is about 15 or 16%. So clearly, Greater Accra is behind. Followed by the Ashanti region, which is also the second largest. They are behind compared to where they should be. And you could see this problem has become prevalent because of the disproportionate allocation of equipment. If you look at what NIA did during their mass registration, areas that had high population were given much more equipment than areas that have small population. That should have driven what EC was doing. Clearly, we haven't seen that. And if I was EC and I'd be in the electoral body, I would be concerned that when it comes to first-time voters, they are very difficult to get them to vote. And if you want to encourage them to vote, it doesn't matter which party they come from. For me, every Ghanaian that is 18 years should be allowed to vote or must be made to vote by making the process very easy. Now, first-time voters globally are difficult to get to the polls. So to get them enthused to vote, you must make life easy for them, which means bring the centers to closer to where they are so that they can register. And then you can encourage them to vote. Right now, that isn't what we are seeing. People have to travel from long distances. If you look at, for example, Kwabenya, Taifa is down south and Abukubi is up north. And even though we are in the urban constituency, it's still not easy for people to go from Taifa to Abukubi to register. Can you imagine other areas in that other part of the country? So clearly, data was not used in driving this exercise. If they had used data, they would have done it differently.
You are not saying we have PhD holders, etc. People who used to be in universities related to political science, etc., who talked sharply on these things. So you cannot say that they didn't use data to register, right? It could have been deliberate.
Well, I have no evidence to suggest that, but what they are doing appears to be like that, to be very honest, because it defies a basic kind of operational deployment strategy, what they are doing. I mean, I have worked with the NIA on the national ID card before, so I knew what we did. And I don't see why we should reinvent the wheel when NIA template is there.
Elikem, what do you make of all this? I know, for example, because you're a deputy national organizer, you travel the length and breadth of the country. And the argument even being made, for example, if somebody is in Sylvester Tete's constituency, that's English and Manfrom, Botiano English and Manfrom, it gets closer to Amasaman, then you have to cross to wager that road, etc. I mean, it doesn't make it easy. And this is an urban area. Before you even go to the peripheries.
Roland, good morning, and to our viewers and my panelists here too. I feel very sad as a young person seeing the display of ineptitude by the Electoral Commissioner. At the point I was going to suggest that we must begin to have one of them constantly on our tables here, but sometimes before the program ends, we are able to realize we have spokespersons for them. Very sadly enough, the EC chair has not seen any wisdom in all what the complaints of people have been. Yes, I've been to the likes of Yoyo, Bumpurugu, where you would have absolutely or virtually no network. And if you have to even look at the distance some of them have to travel on very immotorable roads to reach the district capitals before coming to just acquire this voter ID. It is just very obvious this is a deliberate attempt by a square peg in a round hole to disenfranchise people. You see, I was born in Abo, and even to travel from Abo through Afifed all the way to Keta or using the Dabala Road takes you close to 40 kilometers. And imagine that somebody who is a peasant farmer, whose son or daughter just turned 18, 19, and is not employed, has to acquire a voter ID. And you'd have to go through all this process. The fellow is likely to say that then I will not go for this. And in effect, you, the electoral commissioner, you are disenfranchising people. I have never seen anywhere, mark my words, I have never seen anywhere any officer holding public office as shallow as my palm than the current electoral commissioner. This is a woman who obviously, I have not seen her in a very long time. The only thing that have changed from her is her color. The last time I saw her was when she was IEA boss and she was a bit dark. Now she's become very fair. But apart from that, nothing else. And she seemed to have gotten some arrogance and some power to feel that she could say all manner of things and get away with it all. And you see, if you listen to even her reading all of this, she wasn't making any sense to me. She wasn't making any sense. When asked the question, for instance, about what she said when she was IEA boss, childishly and very infantile enough, she was trying to justify that that was not an election year. Let her be reminded that the current dispensation is far more than even an election year, because after the 2020 elections, you have not done any mop-up. So 2021 is outstanding, 2022 is outstanding, and now you are conducting this exercise in 2023. And that should tell you, therefore, that, look, this is very crucial. And how childish can you be as an electoral commission chair that you will now be embarking on an exercise that ultimately seeks to disenfranchise a lot of first-time voters? Then you are given reason that, they can wait and let's go for, let's wait till the main elections. And you cannot say that. You are deliberately saying that we can disenfranchise them for the district level elections, but we will not disenfranchise them for the national elections, which is, pardon my language, but this is arrant stupidity. It doesn't make sense to anybody, not even to the commoner or a KG people or any younger folk who understands this process that we are talking about. And so for her to now come out to want to even justify the illogic that she has put out there, the chaos that she has actually decided to manufacture out there, it just doesn't make any sense to anybody. But you see, maybe we need to realize that indeed we have a square peg in a round hole. Who doesn't have not only an appreciation, who has no knowledge what she's about. And it appears her scripts are even written for her. That is my opinion from what I saw.
You sound extremely worried.
Yeah, very worried.
Because the situation is worrying.
You see, because as a young person, I do not understand why somebody who is living at Avalavi in the Volta region, who wants to go to Ketu North, who wants to go to Georgia to register, would have to also go for another 34.4 kilometers to just go and get the ID. And mind you, she is so childish enough not to realize that when you see a crowd like that at the registration centers, it should tell you that, give or take, when you see 600 people at a polling station, maybe 400 or 300 are the ones coming to register, because they all have to now come with guarantors. And who does this make sense to?
Because they don't have access to a Ghana card to come in.
And you see, you claim you want to take foreigners out of the rule, etc. But now, people may be compelled to even guarantee for others they do not know. Because if I want to move all the way 30 kilometers, 57 kilometers to somewhere I do not know anybody, yet I want to acquire the card, how am I going to get somebody at the district office to guarantee for me? And if this is not stupidity personified, what else can you call it? Because we have treated matters of this nature with velvet gloves, which has resulted in us reaching this level. This is a woman who has decided not to listen to anybody. Her deputy's posturing has always, in some way, resonated with commentary by even the governing party. Where you have the national youth organizer of the party, of the NPP, saying that people who do not want to embark on the exercise can decide to go home and sit. How can you, a leader of the youth, communicate to even your own people in this manner? So you do not care about their vote, you do not care about them voting for you. And then you have Bosman also saying the same thing. It is a sad situation we find ourselves in, my brother.
Bernard, at the end of the day, let me just apprise you of, so far, the numbers that have been registered. And we'll put that on the screen for you, just to quickly give you a certain insight as to where the permutation is. So the Volta region has 12,000 so far. in excess, of course. OT4, but the main areas are Eastern 19,000, Ashanti 29,000. Quickly, and then Northern region has 12,000. And then the two Bono regions, you put them together. And then the Upper East, West all together, you put them, you're almost getting to 19,000, I believe, or 17,000. And then subsequently, you look at Western North and then also the Western region, you have an excess of 16,000, if not 17,000. And of course, we have 17,000 also for the Central region. Greater Accra has 27,000. The key question is, we have a bulk of young people who may not have access to the Ghana card. So the guarantor system is the ultimate thing. Ideally, if they were doing this in their communities, you being able to assess or verify whether somebody guaranteeing for somebody is really close to that person would have been easy. Is that not it? Instead of making that person travel alongside the person, and then becomes more of a dispute, trying to see whether the guarantor really is close to that person who wants to register. Is that not the case?
Morning to you, to Saka, and to Elikem. Before I say anything, or maybe I'll come to that, which is the collapse of bridges. I'll come to that later. But let me state that the posturing of our electoral commission is worse than a coup d'etat. And if anybody should be worried about coup d'etatism, it is the kind of actions that the Electoral Commission is engaging. Last week, I indicated to you that the Constitution of Ghana states in locus classicus in Article 1 of our Constitution that sovereignty resides in the people and it is exercised in their name, and for whose welfare it should be done. And so, therefore, when we exercise our sovereignty in determining who should be a president, and that president is responsible to us, is duty-bound to us, the citizens, that president takes actions on our behalf, and those actions include the appointment of Electoral Commission, deputy chairpersons, and indeed the 4 other commissioners. When you come and tell me that you are independent, your appointer himself is not independent. So you cannot be independent of the people in whose name you are exercising that independence. You cannot. You may be independent in terms of functions, but in terms of accountability and listening to the welfare and well-being of the people, you cannot be independent. And so people must reason. The second aspect is that what is the mandate of the Electoral Commission in Article 42? In Article 42, it tells you that every citizen 18 years and above is qualified to vote and is entitled, the word there is entitled to be registered for the purposes of general elections and referendum. Right? For the purposes of public elections and referenda. So, how is the person entitled if the person is not given the right access to be able to get onto the voters' roll? Now, I have repeatedly said that when the Constitution says that somebody 18 years and above and of sound mind is entitled to be registered, the Constitution actually did not go further to say that those who are going to register them must also be of sound mind. That is where the challenge comes. Because if you listen to the likes of Dr. Bosman, who in an attempt to explain and to parry away the need to bring down the voter registration to the people, told us that remember that voting is not a force. The person who is supposed to be goading, aiding, coercing, encouraging people to be on the voters register come and tell you that voting is not a force. And he's entitled to receive his salary at the end of the month and other benefits. Such characters must be checked on whether they are actually sane.
Oh, why?
Why? You don't know the function for which you are in the office? That you are in the office to encourage people to be on the voters' roll, and you come and tell us that don't come onto the voters' register. It's like a teacher who comes to the classroom and say that if you don't come to school, I will get my pay. So don't come. Coming to school is not compulsory. Yeah. That is what Bossman is telling us. That is exactly what he has told us. And you cannot say it in less words than in this form. Now, what is it? And I just listened to Jean Mensah, who I'm told has a certificate in law.
No, she's a lawyer.
Okay,
please.
Take it that
She's
way.
a lawyer. Call to the bar, please,
Okay.
respectfully.
Okay, she's a lawyer. Who says that they started an action only to realize that an injunction was before them. So they decided to ignore. Look, she would have been better if she said that, look, she has not come across it. But to tell us that while you were on the field and that you only came on Wednesday only to realize that an injunction is before you. And so you know there is an injunction and you are continuing with the exercise. You have called the bluff of the courts. I am excited. No one should take my excitement for granted. No court can stop us from doing any mass action in this country any longer.
You mean you hit the street to demonstrate?
Oh, why? That is the easiest. No court. Because the Electoral Commission is a state institution. And you went to cover. When the lawyers and bailiffs went to the Electoral Commission to want to serve them, what did they do? They locked up their premises and asked the security not to allow anybody to enter the premises of the Electoral Commission, a public office. That has become the private property of Bossman and Jean Mensah, that no one will be allowed. If I want to access the Electoral Commission, I should be allowed. I can be frisked and I can enter. For anybody to deny anybody access to public offices and ask the security to lock the gates and prevent people from accessing it is unthinkable. This is what Jean Mensah is doing. Now, let me come to Musa and the statistics. Common sense statistics will tell you. Each year, SHS students, majority of them are 18, right?
Yeah.
We churn out about 600,000 of them. And so by 2021, 600,000 of them were churned out. They never got onto the voters register. 2022, 600,000, they never got the chance to be on the register. 2023, they are actually writing their WASI. They are not on the voters register. That alone should be inching to 2 million back in most statistics. I'm not talking about those who fell out of the education and will also qualify. I'm not talking about citizens who, for one reason or the other, could not be captured onto the 2020 voters register. So we're talking about 3 million people on average.
Well, the Electoral Commission says 1.3.
That is just to tell you that they don't work with statistics. And this is not the first time. Remember that I was at IPAC, the last limited registration before they did the, the new voters register. They told us they were going to do 500,000. We asked them the basis of the 500,000. They didn't give us the basis. They moved to 700,000. When we asked them the basis, they moved to 1.2. At the end of the day, they registered in excess of 1.8 million. They don't work with figures. Now, Roland, you know that this is raining season, right? On the first day of the registration, which is on the 12th, or was on the 12th, do you know that in Greater Accra, in Ashanti, and in the Upper West region, it rained throughout? Go and check your records.
Yeah.
So people were not registered on that.
Oliver, put that video there where people are crossing in canoes over.
Do you understand? They never registered. Now, I know, and I lived it, that I walk from Sankana to Kaleo every day to go to school, and people are still doing it today. Why? Because they don't have money. There are no vehicles to go.
Like something like that on the school.
People move from Namvili, Zukri, and they walk all the way to come to Takpo before they get to Sankana.
Namvili to Zikli?
Zikli to Namvili. to Takpo before they can come to Sankana, and then walk to Kaleo before they can walk to Nadoli to go and do a registration. How is this? Finally, you saw the Dolly Bridge. The Dolly Bridge captured by TV3 and many others. That is the road linking Upper West, Northeast, and what have you to Burkina Faso and what have you. The bridge has collapsed. So persons around that area should walk through the bush and go and get registered. When we talk that, look, the best the Electoral Commission knows, Jean Mensah probably was born, raised, and lived all her life in Accra. She doesn't know where rural communities are.
Oh, that would be unfortunate.
So she sits down and make policies and programs that will suit, in fact, not even suit urban situation. Because even the urban people are complaining about the distances that people have to cover. Now, you are talking about somebody. Look, so, okay, my son is going to register, right? I will not go there. I will just call somebody in Nadoli, probably, to go and stand in for my son. How does the person know my son?
Yeah.
So if you are saying that people will accompany their wards and move that long distance to go and guarantee, it's not the case. And so whatever you are trying to prevent, you have actually escalated the fictitious nature of the voters' roll. And finally, Roland, they are doing this to enable district assembly elections. The assemblies are done on electoral basis. Why are you not doing it in the 6,272 electoral areas? So that we can have proper devolution of the voters' roll, so as to capture many people, to enable them be entitled to register and to vote.
A concern Helga Boedi sends me. It says, can we also put into perspective that a journey of 40 kilometers or so, which according to Google ideally should take perhaps 30 minutes, can take in excess of 2 hours on Ghana's terrible roads just to get to a registration center?
That is when you have a vehicle.
Yeah.
But if you come from the background that I come and you have to walk.
Some of the pictures we're seeing, it means it will take you hours. Now, Saka, that also means that the governing party seems to be in a certain position of allowing this to happen.
No, but let me point out that Evans Nimako, who is the director of elections of the MPP, has spoken against the manner in which the AHC is going about.
Yesterday, too, I also read a post by Adomako Kisi, a member of Parliament.
Speeches being given.
Yeah, that formally, the ruling party seem to be at peace with all that is happening. Can that conclusion be made?
Yeah, thank you very much, Roland. Good morning to my fellow panelists. Good morning to the MPP fraternity, the president and the vice president.
I will not lead you.
First of all, I think that no, I won't mind him. I think that as young men and as political players, we should be mindful of some of the ways that we use.
But I'm not younger.
You are young. Please. You stop the interruption. Let me.
Mr. Mona,
but I'm not young.
So you are a very young person.
He's making a statement. When you were talking,
we should be very careful, especially guiding our maps. We shouldn't be so busy as to take care of our maps. When Elikem was talking, I was just writing some of the words that he was using on Madam Jean Mensah. Shallow, arrogant. These are the words that he was using. Not making sense, therefore senseless. Childish, infantile, stupidity, and illogical. I mean, I don't think if anybody used those words on you sitting here, where you haven't even reached half of her level,
What is
where she is now, in terms of stature, in terms of almost everything. I don't think that if somebody used those words on you, you will be happy. My brother Bernard also came in and started to even question the saneness or the sound-mindedness of the Electoral Commission. And he's telling us that he has always asked that the Constitution has not said anywhere that you have to be of a sound mind to do to register people. It means that he has not read the Constitution.
What did he say?
The Constitution is so clear.
The sound mind.
Yeah.
Oh.
The Constitution is so clear here.
He didn't say that, I think.
No, he said so. He said that the Article 42 talk about the fact that you have to be of sound mind 18 years to register.
Article
But
42.
Yes.
Talks about the right to be registered.
To be registered. Okay. And that right, you have to be 18 years and you must be a sound mind and all those things. But he said that there is nowhere in the Constitution that says that really? Those who, yeah, that's what he said. That you have even been asking. That there is nowhere in the Constitution that says that those who are doing the registration must have sound mind. Actually, if there are some of these basic things that people don't know, and then you even go ahead to question the legal brain of Jane Mensah, then I don't even think that people should even listen to us, because we are not educating the people. When we should be educating them, inform and entertain. But it's like we have used education and then the informing aspect to entertain people. Because, like I said, the Constitution is clear on who qualifies to be the electoral commissioner. And it says that there shall be an electoral commission who shall consist of a chairman, 2 deputy chairmen, 4 other members of the commission. And the qualification, it says that a person is not qualified to be appointed a member of the electoral commission unless he is qualified to be elected a member of parliament. And what are the qualifications to become a member of parliament? If you go to Article 94, let me go to Article 94 2 B2. It says that a person shall not be qualified to be a member of parliament if he is found to be of unsound mind or is detained as a criminal lunatic under any law enforced in Ghana. So the soundness of the mind is so clear. So let's not come here and throw dust and lie and show our inability to even educate those who even don't know and pretend as if we are rather informing Ghanaians and educating them. Secondly, on this whole matter of Jane Mensah, MPP, like you said, and like Bernard also said, we are clear in our mind.
Which is
that,
what? That the status
that
quo should
nobody
continue.
Should be disenfranchised. Especially when we are talking about first-time voters. These are people who have not shown or who have not voted for anybody before, any political party before. And therefore, these are the first-timers who are yet to even choose a political party. You don't go denigrating or you don't go disenfranchising them. And like we all know, the Constitution also makes it clear that nobody should be disenfranchised. And the whole process starts with a registration. So we believe that whatever the Electoral Commission can do to ensure that everybody who qualifies, especially the youth who are now turning 18, must get the opportunity to register and to vote, whether in the referenda, whether in the district level election, whether in the general election. That should be clear. So we support the fact that we have to expand the frontiers of the registration exercise. If the kits are not working, we should ensure that we get the proper kits, biometric machines to work. If the people are not able to access. Sounds
more like you are just paying lip service.
No, we are not doing that.
That's what you're doing.
But you see, what we don't want to support is the hypocrisy of some of the political players like the NDC and their cohorts who think that the best way to campaign is to subject the Electoral Commission and the whole Electoral Commission into ridicule, into some form of, incessant attack. That's what they are doing. You remember John Dramani Mahama, when Charlotte Osei was in office? He said, "I will leave the Electoral Commission alone to do its work." We, as political players, despite our difference with the Electoral Commission as to whether or not they should do things that will inure to the benefit of all those people registering, we will not go there or mount the platform insulting the Electoral Commission. That is not in our DNA. Remember, even Charlotte Osei, when we're criticizing Charlotte Osei in the past, all the criticism was in the courts. And that is the reason why, if you look at all the cases that we took to court, we won all. Because we were not just on air insulting, like the NDC a former chairman told them, that they should go out there, that they should go out there and take the Electoral Commissioner to the cleaners. And that is exactly what they are doing. Elikem is here doing same, and my brother Bernard is guarding him on and also doing the same. So I am saying in this sense, people have problems. There are genuine problems. There are some of the problems that one can say, for instance, the bridge that collapsed. You cannot say it's the fault of the Electoral Commission.
So, Kasale, what is your constituency?
It doesn't have.
Well, my constituency is Iowa Central.
Iowa Central.
And West Central.
Okay.
No.
Because I hail from West Central.
Which part of Wa do you come from?
Oh, Wadobili.
Okay.
Yes.
How long is that to the district center?
Oh, that one.
How long? You can just walk. You walk.
I stayed in the same house with him.
Do you?
You don't even. I say it's a stone throw.
It's not a stone throw.
Oh, Masa.